Debbie suffers painful injury in Coronation Street before more devastating news follows. Will Debbie Webster ever get a moment of peace in Coronation Street? No sooner has she stepped out of prison than she is hit with yet another wave of heartbreak, this time in the form of a painful injury, a crushing update on her dementia, and more pressure from her hopeless, money-hungry son. It is especially difficult to watch a character as bold, fiery, and full of life as Debbie be battered by one setback after another. Not only is she facing the devastating reality of worsening dementia, but she has also had to endure it behind bars after taking the blame for the Corriedale crash, the same tragedy caused by her own son, Carl Webster, which led to Billy Mayhew's death. Even so, Debbie remains unmistakably Debbie, strong-willed, fearless, and determined in the face of everything life throws at her, and lately, life has certainly not been kind. Being imprisoned around the clock in an unfamiliar and frightening environment has clearly accelerated her decline, with her confusion and memory lapses becoming more frequent and more severe. The one unexpected bright spot during this dark chapter has been Lou Michaelis, a surprising ally who longtime Corrie viewers will remember as the so-called nightmare neighbor who was jailed for violently attacking Gary Windass. When Debbie's appeal hearing recently took place, her chances of freedom were left hanging by a thread after she became confused and wrongly accused a prison guard of stealing her journal. But Lou refused to stand by and let Debbie's condition ruin everything. In an extraordinary act of loyalty, Lou deliberately picked a fight with another inmate in order to create a distraction and protect Debbie's appeal from falling apart. Her sacrifice paid off. Debbie's appeal was successful, and she is now set to return to the cobbles, where her devoted husband Ronnie Bailey and brother Kevin Webster are ready to welcome her home, though unfortunately so is her far less supportive son Carl. Thanks to his reckless behavior and shady financial mess, Carl is drowning in debt and growing increasingly desperate. His latest plan is to get his hands on Debbie's treasured Chariot Square Hotel, and it does not take him long after her release to start sniffing around for money. Unsurprisingly, that does not go down well with Ronnie, and it quickly becomes clear that Debbie's return home is going to be anything but peaceful. But that is only the beginning of what is to come. Upcoming scenes in Coronation Street will show Debbie struggling to settle back into her role at the hotel, with the pressure of normal life becoming increasingly difficult to manage, and things soon spiral into a painful accident, followed by even worse news. Her return to the Chariot gets off to an uneasy start during a meeting involving Tracy Barlow and Mary, who are there with the bride and her mother to discuss wedding flowers. As Debbie serves them champagne, she makes a few tactless remarks to the bride's mother, comments that do not go down well at all. Unfortunately, things only deteriorate further the following day when a distressed Debbie is approached by Summer Spellman, who was as close to Billy Mayhew as a daughter. Summer demands to know whether Carl was actually the one driving the car on the night Billy died. The confrontation clearly rattles Debbie, and in the middle of her distress, Ryan Connor passes by carrying two extremely hot plates. In a split-second reaction, Debbie grabs them, badly burning her hands in the process. The incident is yet another painful sign that Debbie's condition is worsening, and the situation only becomes even more heartbreaking the next day. That is when Debbie receives the results of her latest brain scan and learns in black and white that her dementia has taken a serious and devastating turn for the worse. Coronation Street, Gary's next target could be Theo after he finally sees the truth. Gary Windass was recently tipped off by Sarah Platt that Theo Silverton may be abusing Todd Grimshaw in Coronation Street. Because Gary had actually become friendly with Theo over the past few months, he found it hard to accept that he may have completely missed what his so-called mate was really capable of. Wanting to judge the situation for himself, he decided to invite himself over to Theo and Todd's flat to see the dynamic up close. And Gary is not someone you want to get on the wrong side of. The tough, unpredictable builder has crossed the line between flawed anti-hero and full-blown villain more than once over the years, most notably when he was responsible for killing 2 people. He was not only behind the factory roof collapse that led to the death of Rana Habib, but also manipulated the aftermath in a way that shifted suspicion onto Carla Connor. But the crime that truly cemented Gary's place among Weatherfield's darkest figures was the killing of ruthless loan shark Rick Nealon in what began as self-defense, before Gary then took over Rick's criminal operation and became every bit as dangerous himself. Although Gary has since tried to leave that side of himself behind and build a quieter life with wife Maria Connor, it is clear that his violent instincts have never completely disappeared. There is still a dangerous edge to Gary just beneath the surface, and all it would take is the wrong person threatening someone he cares about for that side of him to resurface. And Theo may be exactly the kind of man who pushes him there. For months, Theo has subjected Todd to a disturbing pattern of abuse, including emotional manipulation, controlling behavior around money, and repeated moments of frightening aggression. More recently, things escalated to an even darker level when Theo pulled a knife on Todd during a blazing argument. But instead of backing down, a shattered Todd challenged him to go ahead and end it all. In that moment, Theo's grip appeared to slip, and he ended the relationship, not out of remorse, but because his own ego had taken a hit. Still, Theo was not prepared to let Todd go for long. When Todd began trying to move on with someone else, Theo's jealousy quickly took over, and he secretly spiked Todd's drink in order to swoop in as the hero and pull him back into the relationship once again. After managing to force his way back into Todd's life, Theo took things even further by pushing them into marriage, a union that was anything but romantic. Rather than being the happiest day of Todd's life, the wedding felt more like another form of control, with Theo effectively pressuring him into going to the registry office and making him feel as though refusing was not even an option. Back at the pub, George Shuttleworth had already started to fear that something was badly wrong in Todd's relationship, and those concerns only deepened when he learned about the sudden, unexplained wedding. His worst suspicions were almost confirmed the following day when he overheard Theo hurling vile abuse at Todd inside the flat. George later told Todd's loved ones that he believed Todd was being abused and began trying to work out how they could help him escape. While visiting the flat, Gary watched Theo and Todd closely, paying particular attention to the way Todd behaved around him. He quickly noticed just how nervous Todd seemed in Theo's presence, even spotting his hand shaking while he was making tea. And when Todd briefly left the room, Gary took his chance. He confronted Theo directly and made it clear that he knew exactly what kind of man he really was. As expected, Theo denied everything and insisted he had no idea what Gary was talking about.